Mary spends quite a bit of time talking about the classification of this fly, which is sometimes called a blue drake or sometimes a blue dun, although technically it is a hare's ear that imitates either a blue drake or a blue dun. I am tying it according to the illustration in her book with some supplemental help from J. Edson Leonard's Flies, although there are at least 4 hare's ears listed in J. Edson Leonard's database. I guess we'll call it a database, his chart. Mary published Favorite Flies and Their Histories in 1892. It is a book that really acted as a promotion for the Orvis Fly Company. And so since they wanted people to buy their flies, Mary didn't give recipe ingredients to the flies that she posted in the book. Flies that were the favorites of those who answered a survey that Charles Orvis put out. I'm putting a gold tag on this hare's ear. I'm using mylar tinsel rather than metal tinsel, so I tie it in with the gold side towards the hook, and then when I start to wrap it, I flip it so the gold shows. I'll go ahead and wax the thread. I'm going to use 3 fibers or 3 barbs from this pheasant feather. This feather is at the base of the tail, right next to the body, and these barbs have fewer barbules so that they don't stick together. So I've isolated 3. It's kind of a beat up feather, so there's a lot of short barbs, broken barbs in it. Isolated 3 of those barbs. Yeah, see if I can kind of get them to orient together in the same way, but I don't necessarily want to behave, and I guess if they split in different directions, that's not a bad thing. The tail in the illustration is significantly longer than the shank of the hook, so I'll go ahead and tie those in long. Don't let go of them too soon. Keep them on top of the shank of the hook. So if I can get them to stand up a little bit better, I would be okay with that. I want my thread right back here where my tag is. So I'm using olive silk, and because I'm using silk, I'm waxing it. A lot of contemporary threads already come waxed, and it's a good idea, I think, to wax thread. It just helps it stick to ingredients and stick to your hook, and particularly with silk, it preserves it. But I'm using olive because it's one of the 2 colors Mary mentioned as options for this fly, that the fly was tied in either yellow silks or olive silks depending on the season and the color of the mayflies that were hatching. Although it was called either a blue drake or a blue dun imitation, the fly is not called a blue dun or a blue drake, but it imitated either the blue drake or the blue dun. So those are, well, drake is the male, and dun is the stage just prior to flying after emerging. The wax on the thread is going to keep that hare's ear hair on the thread, and then I just twist it around the thread to dub it, and then wrap it up over the shank of the hook. I've got a fairly long thread here, but I want to try to build a pretty substantial body, and then I will be teasing it out as I get towards the end, or actually after I tie in the wings, so that it gives me a fuller look. A little bit more hair, actually quite a bit more hair. Only halfway up the body or so. So I'm going to need quite a bit more. Keep my thread waxed. Wax is making it stick to my fingers too. So this mask has some really dark tips on this ear. This ear is missing its tip. But there's some nice dark tips here, or there's some darker here down back on the back of the wing or the back of the ear as well. Which is probably where it gets the blue done coloring. And we use the word done in a couple of different ways when we're tying flies. We use it as one of the stages in the mayfly. It's the stage, again, before the mayfly flies off after it has emerged, while it is drying its wings. But we also use the word done as a color. It's a color that is used in horsemanship for the color of a horse. A dun horse is kind of a gray-brown. For the wing, I'm using 2 of these dark gray wing feathers, and they are opposing feathers, so I have opposing sides. I'll take a slip off of each one of those and back-to-back them. And I'm not exactly measuring, but that's close to the gape of the hook. So those 2 feathers back to back, just pull them out to even the tips. And then I want the tip to be about the length of the hook to the hook bend. I'm going to take those 2 and pinch them between my finger and thumb. Hold them directly over the top of the hook shank. Keep a nice strong pinch. Pull out a bit of thread, pinch the thread, pull it down underneath of the shank of the hook, and then pinching tightly still, just pull up on that thread. And then I'm going to do a few more wraps, but back away from the eye of the hook. And then I can go in and clip out the butt sections that are leaning up over the eye, and if I take just a few at a time, I can carefully be sure not to clip the thread, and then see if I can get a clean eye. Now, Mary did not have to worry about a clean eye, neither she nor the ladies that tied for the Orvis company, because they tied on hooks that were called blind. They didn't have an eye. And there was some debate back then about whether eyes were even appropriate, metal eyes, and it took a while for the fly fishing community to accept hooks that had eyes built into them. I'm going to wax my thread again. That way I won't have to put any head cement, although I suspect that Mary lacquered, or whoever tied the flies for the book. We assume it was Mary, but we don't know for sure, because we do know that Mary did tie flies, but she also had a crew of women who tied flies for the company. I'll just take my scissors and push them against that thread to cut it out. And because I didn't use any head cement or lacquer, I don't need to worry about having a clean eye and being tippet ready. Okay, before I finish, I'm going to take a Velcro and just tease out. If I hold up that wing, I can tease underneath too. And just kind of fill out the size of that body. Don't lose my tails. And I have a hare's ear as they were tied in the middle to late 1800s.